The world stopped spinning the moment Ethan's car flipped off the highway. Glass shattered around him like frozen rain, metal screamed against asphalt, and in that suspended second before impact, he thought, "This is how I die." But when he opened his eyes, bleeding and broken in the wreckage, there was a face above him, sharp jawline, storm gray eyes, hands steady and warm despite the chaos. "Stay with me," the stranger said, voice cutting through the ringing in Ethan's ears. "I've got you." Ethan didn't know then that those 3 words would become the most important ones he'd ever heard. He didn't know that the man pulling him from twisted metal would pull him into something far more, as dangerous than any car crash, a love he'd spent 23 years running from. 6 months later, Ethan still couldn't drive past that stretch of highway without his hands shaking. The coffee shop on 5th Street had become his sanctuary, a place where the world felt smaller, safer, contained within brick walls and the smell of roasted beans. Ethan sat at his usual corner table, laptop open but untouched, watching rain streak down the window. His ribs had healed. The scars on his forearm had faded to pale lines. But some things didn't heal as cleanly. "You're doing that thing again?" Ethan looked up. Marcus stood beside his table, 2 mugs in hand, wearing that concerned expression that had become familiar over the past months. Marcus Chum, paramedic, coffee enthusiast, and the man who'd refused to let Ethan bleed out on Highway 94 on a Tuesday night in March. "What thing?" Ethan asked, though he knew. The 1,000-yard stare. Marcus set a mug in front of him, black coffee, no sugar. Exactly how Ethan took it. "You were thinking about the crash?" It wasn't a question. Marcus had gotten too good at reading him, at seeing through the walls Ethan had spent years building. It should have been uncomfortable, that kind of visibility. Instead, it felt like breathing, just rain. Ethan lied, accepting the coffee. "Makes me thoughtful." Marcus slid into the seat across from him, long legs folding under the small table. He wore his civilian clothes, dark jeans, a gray Henley that brought out his eyes, but Ethan could still picture him in his paramedic uniform. All efficiency and controlled calm as he'd stabilize Ethan's spine kept him talking. Kept him alive until the ambulance arrived. "Thoughtful," Marcus repeated, lips quirking. "That's what we're calling it? Would you prefer brooding? Contemplative? Dramatically haunted?" "I'd prefer honest." "Of course." Marcus's smile faded slightly. "But I'll take the deflection. You've earned it." There it was again, that easy understanding. The way Marcus never pushed too hard, but never let Ethan completely retreat either. It was infuriating. It was exactly what Ethan needed. They'd fallen into this routine over the past 6 months. Marcus had visited him in the hospital, then during recovery, then suggested coffee, when Ethan was finally mobile again. What started as a paramedic checking on a former patient had evolved into something neither of them had quite named. Friendship, maybe. Though friendship didn't usually make Ethan's pulse spike when Marcus laughed. Didn't make him hyper-aware of every casual touch. Every moment when Marcus's knee brushed his under the table, Ethan asked, redirecting. Marcus's expression shifted, something heavy settling behind his eyes. "Long lost a patient this morning. 16-year-old kid? Motorcycle accident?" "God, Marcus." "I'm sorry. Yeah." Marcus wrapped both hands around his mug, shoulders tight. "Me too." Ethan recognized that look. He'd seen it in the mirror often enough, the weight of things you couldn't control, couldn't fix, couldn't save. Without thinking, he reached across the table and covered Marcus's hand with his own. Marcus's eyes snapped up, startled. For 3 heartbeats, they just looked at each other. Ethan's palm warm against Marcus's knuckles, the contact stretching into something that felt significant. Ethan's throat went dry. He should move his hand. He should say something light, break the moment, retreat to safer ground. He didn't move. "Thank you, Marcus," said quietly. His hand turned beneath Ethan's. Fingers brushing his palm in a gesture that could have been accidental but felt entirely deliberate. "For being here, always," Ethan said, and meant it with an intensity that scared him. The thing about trauma, Ethan had learned, was that it didn't announce itself. It lurked in unexpected places, the squeal of brakes, the flash of headlights, the particular pitch of metal under stress. A week after that coffee shop moment, Ethan was walking home from the grocery store when a car backfired 3 feet away. His body reacted before his mind could catch up. The grocery bag hit the sidewalk, oranges rolling into the street, and Ethan was on his knees. Hands over his head, breath coming in sharp gasps that wouldn't quite fill his lungs. The world tilted. His vision tunneled. Somewhere distant, he heard his phone ringing, but he couldn't move. Couldn't Ethan? Hands on his shoulders, firm but gentle. A voice cutting through the static in his head. It's Marcus. You're okay. You're safe. Can you hear me? Ethan nodded, or thought he did. The hands on his shoulders squeezed once, then moved to his wrists, carefully pulling his hands away from his head.
That's good.
That's good. Now, I need you to breathe with me, okay? In 4 counts? Marcus counted, voice steady as a heartbeat, and Ethan followed. 4 in, hold for 4, out for 4. The world slowly reassembled itself. He was on a sidewalk. It was October. The sun was setting. Marcus was kneeling in front of him, gray eyes locked on his, keeping him anchored. There you are, Marcus said softly when Ethan's breathing evened out. Better. Yeah, Ethan's voice came out rough. I'm sorry, that was completely normal, Marcus interrupted. Panic attack. Common after traumatic incidents. Nothing to apologize for. You just happened to be here. I was 3 blocks away when my smartwatch pinged. You set off the emergency alert. Marcus nodded at Ethan's wrist, where his fitness tracker blinked steadily. Your heart rate spiked above 180. I ran. Ethan stared at him. You ran 3 blocks because my watch? You're on my emergency contact list, Marcus said. Like this was obvious, like it was nothing. Of course I came. Something cracked open in Ethan's chest. Marcus had programmed himself as an emergency contact, had been monitoring him, ready to drop everything and run if Ethan needed him. The casual care of it, the quiet devotion, hit Ethan like a second crash. Come on, Marcus said, standing and offering his hand. Let's get you home. Ethan took his hand. Let Marcus pull him up, steady him when he swayed. Let Marcus gather his scattered groceries and walk him the remaining 4 blocks to his apartment. Hand hovering near Ethan's elbow the entire way, ready to catch him if he fell. Inside Ethan's apartment. Marcus moved with the easy confidence of someone who'd been there before. He put away the groceries while Ethan collapsed on the couch, still shaky, still processing. When Marcus finally sat beside him close enough that their shoulders touched, he handed Ethan a glass of water. Drink. The water helped, or maybe it was just having something to do with his hands. This is the 3rd one this month, isn't it? Marcus asked. Ethan nodded. No point lying to a man who'd seen him fall apart multiple times now. Are you seeing anyone? A therapist? I have an appointment next week. Good. Marcus studied him for a long moment. You know, it's okay to not be okay, right? You almost died. That doesn't just go away because the bones heal. I know, Ethan said. Then, more honestly, I'm trying to know. Marcus's hand found his on the couch cushion between them. Their fingers tangled together, and this time neither of them pulled away.
You're not alone in this,
Marcus said. I know it feels like it sometimes, but you're not. Ethan looked at their joined hands, then up at Marcus's face, the sharp angles softened by concern, eyes warm in the lamplight. He wanted to say something about gratitude, about friendship, about how much Marcus's presence had come to mean to him. Instead, what came out was, why do you care so much? The question hung between them. Marcus's expression flickered surprise, something vulnerable, something quickly shuddered. 'Cause you matter, Marcus said finally. Because when I pulled you out of that car and you looked at me like I was the only solid thing in the universe. Something in my chest just... He made a helpless gesture. I can't explain it. But from that moment, I needed to know you'd be okay. That you'd survive. That you'd... He stopped, jaw tightening. That's what it means to save someone's life, I guess. You carry them with you, was a careful answer. A safe answer. But Ethan heard what Marcus wasn't saying in the spaces between words. In the way his thumb unconsciously stroked across Ethan's knuckles. In the careful distance he maintained even as he held Ethan's hand. You carry me, Ethan said softly. It wasn't a question. Every day. Marcus's voice was barely above a whisper. The confession settled between them like fog, transforming everything. The room felt smaller suddenly, the air thicker. Ethan became hyper-aware of every point of contact, their shoulders touching, their hands clasped, the 6 inches between their faces that felt impossible to cross and impossible not to. Marcus pulled his hand back first, standing abruptly. "I should go. Let you rest. Marcus, I'll text you tomorrow." Marcus was already moving toward the door, something like panic in his movements. "Make sure you eat something, okay? And drink water." "And Marcus?" Ethan stood, followed him to the door. "Thank you. For running 3 blocks. For always showing up. For everything." Marcus's hand was on the doorknob, but he didn't turn it. He stood there, back to Ethan, shoulders rigid with tension. "Ethan," he said, voice strained, "you should know I don't do this. Show up like this. Care this much? Not for patients. Not for friends. Not for—" He stopped, took a breath. "You're different. You've always been different. And if that makes you uncomfortable, if you need space—" Ethan closed the distance between them, put his hand on Marcus's shoulder. Felt him go still. "Doesn't make me uncomfortable," Ethan said. "It makes me feel safe, seen, like I might not be alone in whatever this is." Grateful. It was a coward's word, and they both knew it. But Marcus nodded, finally looked back at him, and the expression in his eyes made Ethan's breath catch. "Get some rest," Marcus said. "I'll see you soon." Then he was gone, and Ethan was alone in his apartment. Hand still warm from where Marcus had held it. Heart still racing from proximity and almost confessions in the growing certainty that he was falling for the man who'd saved his life. The problem, Ethan realized over the following weeks, was that wanting something and allowing yourself to have it were 2 very different things. He wanted Marcus. That much had become impossible to deny. Wanted him in ways that went far beyond gratitude or friendship or survivor's attachment. He wanted Marcus's laugh in his kitchen at midnight. Wanted lazy Sunday mornings trading sections of the newspaper. Wanted the right to reach across any space between them, know he'd be welcomed. He wanted Marcus the way he'd never let himself want anyone completely, terrifyingly. With the kind of raw honesty that left no room for the careful defenses he'd built around himself since high school, because that was the other problem. Ethan had spent 23 years being someone else, the straight-passing guy, the one who dated women without enthusiasm, who deflected questions about relationships, who'd perfected the art of being present without being seen. Even his own family didn't know the truth that Ethan had known since. He was 15, that he'd never love a woman the way everyone expected him to. The crash had fractured more than his ribs. It had shattered his carefully maintained pretense that he could keep living half a life. And now, here was Marcus, brilliant, perceptive Marcus, seeing him more clearly than anyone ever had. Getting too close to truths, Ethan wasn't ready to speak aloud. So, Ethan did what he'd always done when things got too real. He pulled back. He stopped texting first. Let a day pass between responses, then 2. When Marcus suggested coffee, Ethan made excuses: work deadline, therapy appointment, needed to catch up on sleep. All technically true, but still lies in their omission. He thought Marcus would push, would call him out on the obvious retreat. Instead, Marcus gave him space. Checked in occasionally gentle texts asking if he was okay, making sure he was eating, sleeping, going to therapy. But he didn't push, didn't demand explanations. Just left the door open and waited, which somehow made everything worse. 3 weeks into Ethan's self-imposed distance, his younger sister invited him to a Halloween party. "You need to get out of that apartment," Riley said over the phone. Using her big sister voice despite being 2 years younger, "You've been hermiting since the accident. Come meet people. Have fun. Be young and alive and not a complete shut-in." "I'm not a shut-in." "Yeah." "You ordered groceries online 4 times this month, Ethan. The delivery guy knows your name. That's shut-in behavior. Fair point." "Fine," Ethan said. "One party. But I'm not wearing a costume. You're wearing a costume, or I'm telling Mom you haven't called her in 3 weeks. That's blackmail. It's incentive. Party's Saturday at 8, or something fun." She hung up before he could argue further. Saturday arrived too quickly. Ethan stood in front of his closet, staring at the half-hearted vampire costume Riley had dropped off cape, plastic fangs, fake blood, and seriously considered faking the flu. But Riley would see through it. And he'd already bailed on enough social obligations. To last the year, he compromised by wearing the cape over his regular clothes and skipping the fangs entirely. The party was in full swing when he arrived. Music loud, decorations elaborate, costumes ranging from lazy to legitimately impressive. Riley found him immediately, dragged him into the chaos, introduced him to approximately 20 people whose names he forgot within seconds. He was contemplating escape when he saw Marcus across the room. Marcus, who Ethan had been avoiding for 3 weeks. Marcus, who was apparently friends with Riley's boyfriend. Marcus, who looked unfairly good in black jeans and a fitted t-shirt with Air 404 costume not found printed across the chest. Their eyes met across the crowd. Marcus's expression shifted surprise, pleasure, something complicated that Ethan couldn't quite read. He raised his beer in greeting, a small smile playing at his lips. Ethan's carefully constructed walls crumbled instantly. 3 weeks of distance evaporated in the space of that smile. And Ethan was right back where he'd started, wanting, yearning, terrified. He turned and walked straight to the kitchen, needing air, needing space, needing to think. But of course Marcus followed, because Marcus always followed. "Hey," Marcus said behind him. "Didn't know you'd be here." Ethan turned, found Marcus standing in the doorway, hands in pockets, careful distance maintained. Even now, even after Ethan had ghosted him, Marcus was being careful, considerate, not pushing. "Ah!" "Riley's insistent," Ethan said. "She's good at that." "What?" Marcus moved into the kitchen, grabbed a beer from the cooler, offered it to Ethan. "You look good?" "Better. How have you been?" "Miserable, confused, missing you every single day." "Fine," Ethan said. "Good, therapy's helping. Good. That's good." Marcus took a drink, looking anywhere but at Ethan. "I've been meaning to text more, but I figured you needed space, so Marcus." Ethan couldn't do this. Couldn't stand here and make small talk like they were strangers, like the past 6 months hadn't happened. "Why are you being so polite?" Marcus blinked. "I'm what?" "You know I've been avoiding you. We both know it. And you're acting like we barely know each other. Like you're afraid to." Ethan stopped, frustrated. "Why aren't you angry?" "Would you prefer I was angry?" "I'd prefer you were honest." Something flickered in Marcus's expression finally, a crack in the careful composure. "You want honesty? Fine. I've been giving you space because you clearly needed it, but it's been killing me. I miss you. I miss talking to you, seeing you, knowing you're okay. And I've been trying to respect your boundaries. Try not to be the guy who can't take a hint, but you're right, I'm angry. I'm angry that you pulled away without explanation. I'm angry that I don't know if I did something wrong, or if you just decided I wasn't worth the effort anymore." The words hit like physical blows. Ethan stepped back, hit the counter, had nowhere to retreat. "You didn't do anything wrong," he said. "Marcus, it was never about you. Then what was it about?" "Me. It was about me not knowing how to." The words stuck in his throat, years of practice making them impossible to voice. "I needed space to figure some things out." "What things?" "You, me, the fact that I'm falling in love with you, and it terrifies me. The fact that I've never admitted who I really am to anyone, and you see me anyway. And I don't know how to handle that level of visibility." "Personal things," Ethan said instead. "Coward." Marcus studied him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "Okay, you don't have to explain. I need to know if we're okay. If you still want me in your life. Because if you don't, if this is you trying to let me down easy, just say so. I can handle rejection. I can't handle not knowing." "I want you in my life," Ethan said immediately. "Marcus, you're the best thing that's happened to me, including surviving the crash. Maybe because of surviving the crash, you're everything. You're everything. Important to me. then stopped disappearing. Marcus closed the distance between them, eyes fierce. Stop pulling away every time things get real. I'm not going anywhere, Ethan. You don't have to keep testing whether I'll stay. Ethan's throat tightened. What if I don't know how to do this? Be close to someone. Let someone be close to me. Then we figure it out together. Marcus's hand came up, cupped Ethan's jaw. The touch was gentle, but grounding. Warm palm against Ethan's cheek, thumb brushing his cheekbone. I'm not asking for perfect. I'm asking for honest. Think you can do that? Ethan leaned into the touch, let his eyes close for just a moment. Marcus's hand on his face felt like safety, like home, like everything he'd been too afraid to ask for. I can try, he whispered. That's enough. Marcus's thumb stroked across his cheek once more. Then he pulled back, let his hand drop. Come on, Riley. We'll send a search party if we don't rejoin the living soon. They went back to the party together. And this time when Marcus stayed close, Ethan didn't pull away. The next morning, Ethan woke up to a text from Marcus's coffee. I treat. And yes, this is me not giving you space. Ethan smiled at his phone, heart doing complicated things in his chest. He typed back, sounds perfect. Give me an hour. They met at their usual place. Marcus was already there when Ethan arrived, 2 coffees waiting on the table. He looked up when Ethan walked in, and his smile was like sunrise, warm, genuine, impossible to look away from. You came, Marcus said. You asked, Ethan replied. Sliding into his seat, they talked for 2 hours straight about nothing, about everything falling back into the easy rhythm they'd built over months. But something was different now. The conversation had more weight. The silences felt charged. Every accidental touch of hands on the table sent electricity up Ethan's arm. Can I ask you something? Marcus said eventually, spinning his empty cup between his palms. Yeah. Last night, you said you had personal things to figure out. Can I ask? You paused, choosing words carefully. Are you seeing someone? Is that what this is about? What? No. God, no. Okay. I needed to know. Why? Marcus looked at him, expression unreadable. Because I need to know if I should stop hoping. The confession hung between them, huge and terrifying and impossible to ignore. Ethan's pulse thundered in his ears. Hoping for what? He had to ask. Had to hear Marcus say it. For you. Marcus's voice was steady, but his hands shook slightly around his cup. For this? For us to be more than friends. Than whatever we've been dancing around for 6 months? There it was. Out in the open? No more subtext? No more careful distance. Just Marcus, brave and vulnerable, laying his heart on the table between their coffee cups. Ethan should have been ready for this. Should have had an answer prepared. Instead, he felt like he was standing at the edge of a cliff. Wind pulling at him, nothing but air between him and free fall. I don't know how to be what you're asking for, he said quietly. I'm not asking you to be anything. I'm asking if you feel it too. This Marcus gestured between them. Whatever this is, because I know I didn't imagine it. The way you look at me sometimes. The way you hold my hand. The way you showed up at my apartment at 2 a.m. last month because you couldn't sleep and... I was the person you called. I feel it, Ethan admitted. I felt it since you pulled me out of that car. Maybe before? I don't know. But Marcus, he took a breath. I've never done this before. Been with someone. Not really. And I'm still figuring things out. About myself. About what I want. Okay? Marcus nodded slowly. That's okay. I'm not asking you to have all the answers right now. What are you asking? For a chance. For you to stop running. For us to see where this goes together, without you disappearing every time things get intense. Marcus leaned forward. I like you, Ethan. More than I should. More than is probably smart. And I think you like me too. So can we try? Not perfectly. Not with all the answers. Just try. Ethan looked at him, met Marcus's earnest expression, his hopeful eyes, the way he was holding himself still. waiting for Ethan's answer like it was the most important thing in the world. And Ethan realized he was tired. Tired of running, tired of hiding, tired of being afraid of the one thing that might actually make him happy. "Okay," he said. "Let's try." Marcus's smile could have lit the entire city. "Yeah." Ethan reached across the table, found Marcus's hand, laced their fingers together. "But you have to be patient with me. I'm going to be bad at this. I'm going to panic and pull away and probably make this way harder than it needs to be. I can be patient." Marcus squeezed his hand. "I've waited 6 months already. What's a little more time? You might regret this." "I regret nothing," Marcus said firmly. "Except maybe not kissing you the night of that party." Ethan's breath caught. "You wanted to kiss me?" "In the kitchen. When you asked why I wasn't angry, you looked at me like..." Marcus shook his head. "It took everything in me not to." "Why didn't you?" "Because you weren't ready. And because when I kiss you for the first time, I want you to be sure. No doubts, no panic, no pulling away 5 seconds later because you got scared." Marcus's thumb stroked across his knuckles. "I can wait for that. I'll wait as long as you need." Ethan's chest felt too full, too tight. No one had ever been this patient with him, this understanding. No one had ever made him feel like his fear was valid but not insurmountable. "Thank you," he whispered. "For what?" "For seeing me. For staying. For not giving up." "Ethan." Marcus's expression softened. "I pulled you out of a burning car. You think I'm going to give up on you now? Not a chance." Dating Marcus, if that's what they were doing, was different than Ethan expected. For one thing, it wasn't dramatically different from before. They still met for coffee, still texted throughout the day, still fell into easy conversation about everything and nothing. But now there was intention behind it, purpose, an acknowledgement that this was going somewhere, even if they couldn't see the destination yet. Marcus held his hand in public now, casual and confident, like it was the most natural thing in the world. The first time he did it crossing a busy street downtown, fingers lacing through Ethan's to keep them together in the crowd, Ethan nearly stopped breathing. But Marcus just squeezed once and kept walking, and after a moment, Ethan's panic subsided into something warm and right. They went to a movie. Marcus drove, and Ethan only had one panic attack when they passed the accident site. And Marcus pulled over without being asked, talked him through it. Didn't make it a big deal afterward. They cooked dinner at Marcus's apartment. Ethan was useless in the kitchen, but Marcus was patient, showing him how to chop vegetables, laughing when Ethan nearly set the garlic on fire. They ate on the couch, knees touching, watching some documentary about ocean ecosystems that neither of them paid attention to. It was good, easy, right in ways Ethan had never experienced before, but he still hadn't told anyone. Riley knew something was going on. She'd cornered him at coffee one afternoon, asking why he was suddenly in such a good mood, who he was texting with that particular smile. Ethan deflected, made vague comments about a friend, changed the subject. She let it go, but her knowing look suggested she wasn't fooled. "You need to tell her," Marcus said one evening. They were in Ethan's apartment. Marcus sprawled on the couch while Ethan attempted to organize his bookshelf. "Riley, I mean, your family." "I will," Ethan said. Eventually isn't a timeline." "I know." Ethan put down the book in his hands. "What if they don't accept it? What if they love you anyway?" Marcus finished. "Because they will, Ethan. Maybe not perfectly. Maybe not immediately, but they will. You don't know that. But I know your sister tracked me down at that party specifically to tell me I should ask you out. And I know your mom sends you care packages every month and called me personally to thank me for saving your life. These people love you. They'll surprise you." Ethan wanted to believe him. But 23 years of hiding was a hard habit to break. The breakthrough came in December. 3 months into whatever they were calling this relationship, Ethan's parents invited him home for Christmas. He deflected, made excuses about work, but his mom was insistent. Riley texted him, "Just come home. Bring whoever you want. We miss you. Bring whoever you want." The words felt significant, intentional. "Do you think Riley knows?" Ethan asked Marcus that night. They were in Marcus's bed, fully clothed, just lying together in the dark. It had become one of Ethan's favorite things. Marcus's apartment, Marcus's bed, Marcus's steady breathing beside him. The safest place in the world. About us? Yeah, probably. And she told my mom. Maybe? Does it matter? I don't know. Yes. No. God, why is this so hard? Marcus rolled onto his side, propped himself up on one elbow. In the dim light from the window, his face was all sharp angles and soft shadows. Because coming out is hard. Because you've spent your whole life hiding, and visibility is terrifying. Because you're brave, but not fearless. And that's okay. Then take the leap. Come to Christmas. Introduce me to your family. Let yourself be seen. Just like that. Just like that. Marcus's hand found his, in the darkness, squeezed. I'll be right there with you. Every second. You're not doing this alone. Ethan's throat tightened. What if it goes badly? Then we leave. And you know where you stand, and we figure out next steps together. But Marcus's thumb stroked across his knuckles. What if it goes well? What if it goes well? Ethan let himself imagine it, walking into his childhood home with Marcus beside him, his hand in Marcus's, no more hiding. His mom's knowing smile, Riley's triumphant I knew it. His dad's careful questions, his eventual acceptance, being seen fully for the first time in his life. "'Kay," Ethan whispered. "Let's do it. Let's go to Christmas." Marcus's smile was radiant even in the darkness. "Yeah, but if it goes badly, you're buying me emergency pie afterward. Deal. Though I'm betting on it going well, optimist." "Someone has to be." Marcus leaned in, pressed a kiss to Ethan's forehead, gentle, reverent. The kind of touch that made Ethan's heart ache with how much he wanted this, wanted him. "I'm proud of you, you know? For trying, I haven't done anything yet."
You're here.
"You're letting me be close to you. You're considering coming out to your family. That's everything, Ethan. That's so brave." Ethan pulled him down, wrapped his arms around Marcus's shoulders, buried his face against his neck. Marcus held him back just as tightly, one hand in Ethan's hair, the other spread wide across his back. "Thank you," Ethan murmured against his skin. "For being patient. For staying." "Always," Marcus said. "I'm not going anywhere." They fell asleep like that. Tangled together, Ethan's fear temporarily quiet beneath the steady rhythm of Marcus's heartbeat. Christmas morning arrived bright and cold. Ethan stood in front of his mirror, adjusting his sweater for the 100th time. Trying not to hyperventilate, Marcus appeared behind him in the reflection, already dressed, car keys in hand. "Ready?" "Absolutely not. Good thing I'm driving then." Marcus's hand settled on his shoulders, warm and grounding. "Hey, look at me." Ethan met his eyes in the mirror. "Whatever happens today, you're still you. Still the guy who survived a car crash and learned to live again. Still the bravest person I know, even if you don't feel like it right now. And you're still mine, if you want to be. Nothing changes that." "Yours," Ethan repeated, testing the word. It settled into his chest like a promise. "Right, mine," Marcus confirmed. "If you want, I want." Ethan turned in his arms, looked up at him. "I really, really want." Marcus smiled that brilliant sunrise smile and leaned down to kiss him. It was soft, sweet, grounding. A reminder of what waited on the other side of fear. "Then let's go tell your family," Marcus said against his lips. Time to stop hiding. The drive to his parents' house took 90 minutes. Ethan spent 89 of them panicking. What if they ask questions? What do I say? How do I even start this conversation? Do I just walk in holding your hand? Make an announcement? Wait for them to ask? "Marcus, I don't know how to do this, Ethan." Marcus's hand covered his on the console between them. "Breathe. One step at a time. We walk in together. We're honest if anyone asks. We don't make it bigger than it needs to be. You're bringing your boyfriend home for Christmas? That's it. That's the whole story." "Boyfriend," Ethan said faintly. "We haven't actually used that word before. Would you prefer partner? Significant other?" The guy I'm completely gone for? Despite his panic, Ethan laughed. Boyfriend works? Good, then that's settled. You're bringing your boyfriend home for Christmas? See, simple. It wasn't simple. But as they pulled up to his parents' house-white colonial with green shutters, string lights along the roof, wreath on the door, Ethan felt something shift. This was his family, his home. The people who'd loved him his entire life. Maybe Marcus was right. Maybe they'd surprise him, Riley. Open the door before they could knock. Took one look at them standing together on the porch and grinned. About damn time, Mom. Ethan brought someone. And I was totally right. You owe me $20? Riley, Ethan hissed. But she was already pulling them inside, taking their coats. Yelling for their parents, his mom appeared from the kitchen, drying her hands on a towel, and stopped when she saw Marcus. Her expression cycled through surprise, recognition, understanding, and finally landed on warm welcome. Marcus, I'm so glad you could join us. Ethan didn't mention he was bringing anyone. That's my fault, Marcus said smoothly. Last-minute decision. I hope it's okay. Of course it's okay. Any friend of Ethan's is welcome here, she emphasized. Friend just slightly, eyes knowing, smiled gentle. Ethan's dad emerged from the living room, saw Marcus and nodded. You're the paramedic. From the accident. Yes, sir. You saved my son's life. I'd say that earns you a place at our table. He extended his hand. Marcus shook it. Tom Miller. Thanks for coming. Thank you for having me. Riley bounced on her heels, looking between all of them with barely contained glee. So are we doing this? Are we acknowledging the obvious? Or are we pretending Ethan brought his friend home for Christmas, like that's a normal thing he does? Riley, Ethan's mom said warningly. What? I'm just saying, Riley, Ethan interrupted. His heart was pounding, mouth dry, but the words needed to come out. This is Marcus. He's weird. He looked at Marcus, who squeezed his hand encouragingly. He's my boyfriend. I'm gay. And I should have told you all a long time ago, but I was scared and I'm sorry. And his mom crossed the distance in 3 steps and pulled him into a hug. Oh, sweetheart. You don't need to apologize. You never need to apologize for being who you are. Ethan's throat closed up. He couldn't speak, could barely breathe, but his mom held him tight and said, I love you. We all love you. Nothing changes that. She's right, his dad said, coming to stand beside them. You're our son. That's all that matters, though I'm taking credit for this, Riley added. I totally called it. And I tried to set you up at that Halloween party? But you two apparently didn't need my help, Riley Ethan started. But he was laughing now, crying and laughing at the same time, relief flooding through him in waves. Marcus hung back, giving them space, but Ethan reached for him, pulled him into the family huddle. This is Marcus, he said again, more firmly this time. The man who saved my life, and changed it, and made me brave enough to be here. His mom pulled back, turned to Marcus with tears in her eyes. Thank you. For saving him, for loving him, for bringing him back to us. It's the easiest thing I've ever done, Marcus said. Loving him. And there it was, the word neither of them had said yet. Spoken out loud in Ethan's childhood home, in front of his family, like it was simple, like it was true. Ethan looked at Marcus, saw his own feelings reflected back. Love, terrifying and real, and entirely mutual. I love you too, Ethan said. In case that wasn't obvious, Marcus's smile could have powered a city. But I like hearing it anyway. Okay, this is adorable, Riley said. But also I'm starving and dinner's getting cold, so can we maybe eat and be cute later? Everyone laughed, and just like that, the tension broke. They moved to the dining room and Ethan sat with Marcus's hand in his under the table. Surrounded by his family, no more hiding, no more fear. It wasn't perfect. His dad asked some clumsy questions. His mom was a little too enthusiastic about asking when they'd known. Riley made approximately 17 jokes, but it was real, honest. Home. Later. After dinner, Ethan and Marcus escaped to the back porch. It was freezing, snow falling in lazy spirals, Christmas lights reflecting off white drifts. Marcus wrapped his arms around Ethan from behind, chin on his shoulder, and they stood there in comfortable silence. "Thank you," Ethan said eventually. "For pushing me to do this? You did it yourself? I just believed you could. Still, thank you." Then turned in his arms, looked up at him. "And thank you for loving me. Even when I was scared, even when I pulled away, you never gave up." "Never will," Marcus promised. "You're stuck with me now."
Good.
Ethan reached up, cupped Marcus's face, brought him down for a kiss. It was cold and perfect, snowflakes melting on their faces. The whole world quiet and still around them. When they pulled back, Marcus was smiling. "Merry Christmas, Ethan. Merry Christmas." Ethan rested his forehead against Marcus's. "I love you. I know I said it before, but I want to say it again. I love you. So much it's kind of ridiculous." "Ridiculous is good," and Marcus agreed. "Yeah, it really is." 6 months later, on the anniversary of the crash, Ethan drove past that stretch of highway for the first time since the accident. Marcus was in the passenger seat, hand on Ethan's knee, steady presence keeping him anchored. "You okay?" Marcus asked as they approached the spot. "Yeah," Ethan said, and meant it. "I'm good," he was. The nightmares had faded, therapy was helping, and he had Marcus steady, patient, loving Marcus beside him through it all. The crash had taken a lot from him, his sense of safety, his health, months of his life, but it had also given him something invaluable, the courage to be himself. The love of his life, a second chance at living honestly. They drove past the spot. Ethan's hand stayed steady on the wheel. "I'm proud of you," Marcus said. "I'm proud of me too." Ethan glanced over, smiled. "Thank you for saving me. For all of it, anytime." Marcus squeezed his knee, though preferably no more car crashes. "I'd like to keep you safe and boring from here on out." Safe and boring sounds perfect. Added, safe and boring, with Marcus beside him, hands intertwined, whole life ahead of them. Ethan had spent 23 years hiding, running, afraid of being seen. But the man who'd saved him from a car crash had also saved him from himself, had shown him that being visible, being vulnerable, being honest was worth the risk. Some crashes destroy you. Others rebuild you into something stronger. Ethan had been lucky enough to survive both kinds, too. Years later, Ethan stood in Marcus's apartment, their apartment now. Had been for 6 months, watching Marcus's fumble with his tie in the bedroom doorway. "I hate these things," Marcus muttered. "You look good in it, though. That's not the point." Ethan laughed, crossed the room, and took over, fixing Marcus's tie with practiced ease. "They're handsome. You're biased. Completely." Ethan kissed him, quick and warm. "Ready? As I'll ever be." They were heading to an awards ceremony. Marcus was being honored for his years of service as a paramedic, specifically for his work in trauma response and patient care. Ethan had helped him write the acceptance speech, had listened to him practice it approximately 40 times, and was unreasonably proud at the ceremony. Ethan sat in the audience and watched Marcus take the stage, confident and articulate, thanking his colleagues and his family, and finally, looking directly at Ethan in the third row, "And thank you to Ethan, who reminds me every day why this job matters. You showed me that saving a life isn't just about the emergency response, it's about the follow-through. The showing up, the being there long after the sirens stop. You saved me right back. I love you." The room applauded. Ethan's eyes burned with happy tears. This man, this incredible, loving, patient man who'd refused to give up on him after the ceremony. They went for pie their tradition, established that first Christmas, maintained ever since. They sat across from each other in their favorite diner booth, and Marcus reached across the table to take Ethan's hand. "I have something for you," Marcus said. "It's your night. I should be giving you things. Humor me." Marcus pulled a small box from his jacket pocket. Not a ring box too big for that, but something else. Ethan opened it. Inside was a key on a simple chain. "It's a key to the storage unit," Marcus explained. "The one where I'm keeping all the furniture we're going to need when we eventually move into a house. Because I'm planning on a future with you, Ethan. a long one. And I wanted you to know that. To have something tangible that says, I'm in this. Completely. Forever. Ethan stared at the key, throat tight. You're planning our future furniture? I've been planning it since that first coffee shop conversation. You're stuck with me, remember? Best thing that ever happened to me, Ethan said. Getting stuck with you? Even counting the car crash? Especially counting the car crash. Because that's what brought me you. Marcus smiled, squeezed his hand. So, what do you think? Want to start furniture shopping? I want everything, Ethan said honestly. The house, the furniture, the whole boring domestic future. With you. Always with you? Then that's what we'll have. Marcus stood, came around the booth, pulled Ethan up into a hug. I love you so much. I love you too. Ethan held him close. This man who'd saved his life and then stayed to make it worth living. Thank you for not giving up on me. Never. Marcus promised against his hair. Not in this lifetime or any other. You're my person, Ethan. My forever person. Forever, Ethan agreed. I like the sound of that. They stood there in the diner, holding each other, planning their future, living their second chance. The crash had changed everything. But this Marcus's arms around him, his love steady and sure, their whole life stretching out ahead, this was worth every moment of fear, every hard conversation, every brave step toward visibility. Sometimes the worst moment of your life leads to the best thing that ever happened to you. For Ethan, it had led to Marcus, to love, to home, to everything that ended this story move you. If Ethan and Marcus's journey touched your heart, please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more emotional love stories. Your support helps me create more content like this. Drop a comment and let me know. What was your favorite moment in this story? Should I create a part 2 showing their wedding or life together? What other themes would you like to see explored? Thank you for watching. You're loved, you're seen, and your story matters.